Dan Illman, Mike Beer. It's Risen Star Saturday at the fairgrounds. We got a nice race for the older turf set. It's race number 11, and it's the Grade 3 Fairground Stakes. $150,000 is the purse. We're going about 1.1 miles, and let's take a look at this field. It's a big field. It's a wide open field, Mike. I think you could go several different ways. Really, the key to this race is what do we get from the European Invader, the 6 Adamo, first-time U.S., first-time Lasix, first-time Chad Brown.
Yeah, it feels like a real wild card in here. Certainly looks like the kind of horse who probably fits pretty well against horses like this. We'll see. A little bit of an unknown regarding that horse, but it's Chad Brown, so you probably have to take an underlaid price. I don't know, Dan. I felt like so many different horses could win here. This race to me was wide open.
What do you make of this time form U.S. pace projector? They have 40 under, who was a pace pressing winner of the Colonel E.R. Bradley last time out on the lead. Halo again has tactical speed, was a gate to wire winner of the Diliberto Memorial 2 starts back. I think 2 Emmys has to go. His best races have come when he's on the lead. He's been on the lead in his last 4 races, including a win in the Mr. D Stakes. I think you have to send and hope for the best.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I can certainly see 40 under going from his inside post, but he's a horse who probably could have been on the lead in either of his last 2 races, and they didn't put him there. I don't know. I think the only thing that I'll disagree with as far as this pace projector goes, Dan, is the red bar scenario. I didn't necessarily see this being a fast pace.
Calvary Charge, the number 1, had a mini 2-race win streak, snapped last time out in his 5-year-old debut. That was the Colonel E.R. Bradley. And did you really find an excuse for that race? It was his first race against stakes competition. Do you think maybe he was exposed against the tougher competition? Because he earned a big fig 2 starts back at Keeneland.
Yeah, I would worry about that he was exposed last time, because you're right. He didn't have an excuse at all in that race. He just did not run a good race that day. I guess the plus side for him as they come right back in another stakes race, Dan, is feels like he's got a little bit of talent. He's got some upside. He has a really nice tactical gear, so he could fall into a really good trip here. So I guess if he was the right price, you could just say, listen, he was off the layoff last time. He didn't fire. He's way better than that, and he's going to be a price again.
40 under, the number 2 for trainer Michael Maker, handled the 1 1/8 without any issue when going gate to wire at Saratoga. Was a very game winner, beating 4 of these same foes in the Colonel E.R. Bradley last time out. He dug deep in between horses to get the job done.
I mean, he's very game in that win last time. He sort of got the same exact trip that he got 2 starts back, Dan. They just sat right up on the pace in both of those races. And the most recent one, he was able to surge up to get to the lead right at the end and then hold off Halo again. 2 back, Halo again was the horse who was on the lead, and he couldn't get by that horse, and he just got a little tired at the end. I feel like he's run well in each of his last 2 starts. In this race right here, I want to see what kind of price he is. He was 10-1, and then he was 16-1. And if he's around prices like that, I guess I could use him. If he comes off, a lot lower than that, half that price or something, I'll look for somebody else.
I wouldn't sleep on the number 3, Santan. Very lightly raced, tons of upside potential. Won his first 2 starts, then tasted defeat for the first time in this race. But this is the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby against some very good 3-year-olds. He turns into the stretch, and he's just going to keep running at the end. He's only beaten a neck by Beyond Brilliant, who had come back to run second in an off-the-turf race, the Mathis Brothers Mile, with a 94 buyer. This horse really seemed to appreciate the 1 1/8 in this race. And again, I don't think we've seen his best.
I agree. Really liked all 3 of his starts last year as a 3-year-old. He won the first 2 with big stretch kicks. He's not one of those horses who moved early in those races. They just waited till the stretch, and then he came flying. And he almost did it again last time, going the 9 furlongs. He came with a big finish in there and just missed. Feels like there's a lot of talent here and a lot of upside.
Major Fed ran in the 2020 Kentucky Derby. He's always been a solid dirt horse. I think the connections are taking a chance in here, just taking a look at his pedigree. He has turf in his pedigree. He's a full brother to Zapparini, who's a graded stakes winner on the turf. He's a half brother to May Lily, who's a stakes winning turf sprinter at Kentucky Downs. Why not take a shot with a horse that's run some good races on the dirt?
Yeah, he's been a little inconsistent on dirt too. He'll show up and run a good one, and then a couple starts later he'll run a bad one. So it makes you sort of feel like maybe he is a horse who's been looking for a surface switch, Dan. As you mentioned, he is more bred to be a turf horse than he is a dirt horse, and he's pretty good on dirt. He's a real wild card in here.
Monarchs Glen seems like he's been around forever. He was a group winner overseas in 2017. Michael Maker claimed him for 62.5 in the spring of 2021. Got a stakes win at Indiana Grand with him. Wonder if the recent form, though not so great. 2 starts back, he ran okay. Didn't think it was a ton of pace. He was running at the end. Maybe he didn't like the wet track last time out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He obviously didn't run his best race last time. I'm not sure that he had, a real chance in there, though. That was a pace dominated race, and that's just not going to help Monarchs Glen, who, listen, they like to rate him from the start. They take him back and they make one run. And he had no chance last time, the way that race was run. To me, it's just all about trip for him. He needs a little pace to run at, and he needs to get a clean trip into it.
Adamo, the number 6, was a group winner at this distance at Longchamp last spring. I don't think he was really embarrassed when 7th at a big price in the French Derby. It was a race where they dove him down to the inside late, and he finished up evenly, just without threatening the winner. They ran him in the Prix Dollar last time out, and again, it was a race where he was just at the back of the pack against a pretty good field, and he just couldn't make up the needed late ground. The winner of that race came back to run 2nd in the Champion Stakes with the Group 1. The runner-up came back to win a Group 3. Chad and company bought this horse for about $290,000 in an overseas auction.
Yeah, I can certainly see this horse factoring in a race like this. I guess you'll probably want to see what kind of price you can get on him, Dan. But listen, he won his final 2 starts as a 2-year-old, progressive 3-year-old, winning his first 2 starts off the layoff, including the Group 3. And then just ran him in some tougher races, and he just wasn't quite good enough. But it's not like he was embarrassed in all of those races. I mean, he seems like he's pretty good. When you watch his races over there, they're different as far as pace goes, but he's very handy in those races over there. It's not like he's getting outrun. I can see him pulling a pretty good trip in this race, and I'd kind of be shocked if he couldn't contend with a field like this one.
And he's getting Lasix for the first time, and maybe all he's been crying out for is a firm turf course. Just look at the track conditions of all his races over there. It seems every time he catches soft turf. The 7 is Halo again, going out for trainer Steve Asmussen. This one missed last time out, 240 under. He had a shot at it on the outside. I thought overall it was a pretty good trip for Halo again. He had his opportunity. He couldn't seal the deal, but he is in good form. He went gate to wire, 2 starts back at a price.
Yeah, I like both of his turf races, Dan. I mean, he managed to make the lead 2 starts back, and then he fought off 40 under, who's also back in this race, to prevail. And then last time they tried to do it a different way. He made a really game run into that race and really just missed a bob at the end while taking another step forward. I got to believe he's a player right back.
Captivating Moon is one of your favorite horses. He seems to show up at big prices. He does run well fresh. He does run well at the fairgrounds. And he might have simply been pace compromised the last time we saw him at Arlington, going 1 mile and 3/16. I like that Chris Block, who's a very underrated trainer, gave him a lot of time off. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes with a run in the stretch.
No, I wouldn't either. That tends to be what he does. He's another one, trip and pace are very important to him. He got both of those things when he won this race last year over yielding ground, Dan. They sat it out with him. He came wide, and he closed it down at 43-1. His next race, he actually didn't even run poorly. They went a very slow pace in front of him in his next start, and he was trying to the end again. This horse is very underrated, but he needs a trip, and he needs some pace.
If you throw out the 2 races without Lasix for Point Me By, he's pretty much run well in every single one of his starts, and he's going to get blinkers for the first time for Eddie Keneally in his 4-year-old debut. Now, he won the Grade 1 Bruce D, going 1 mile at Arlington Park for 3-year-olds. I didn't think that was a very strong field. What did you make of his race in the Woodchopper last time out? He turned into the stretch with a chance, and he never stopped trying. It was a good second. He might have to do a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't really feel like he had an excuse last time. He had a look at it. The winner just ran away from him in the stretch, and he had to settle for second. He didn't run poorly. Didn't make me necessarily want to bet him back in this race. And I'm kind of with you. He won that Grade 1 against 3-year-olds last year. He ran fine. He got a good trip. I didn't think much of that race.
Largent chips in for trainer Todd Pletcher, and it's a shame that Largent missed pretty much all of 2021 because it appeared that Todd had gotten him into great form. He won the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale. He just missed, albeit with a very good trip, against Colonel Liam in the Pegasus World Cup turf, and then he disappeared. And he came back in the Tropical Park turf, and he was odds on that day, but you can give him the layoff excuse, I think, Mike, and it's not like he's facing any killers in here.
I agree with that. He's another one I would just sort of wait and see what kind of price he is. He obviously did not run his race last time. I can see, if he's, 10 or 12 to 1, I could see being lenient on him. If he's less than that, I would probably take a negative view on him. Dan, I know that he ran well in the Pegasus World Cup last year, 2 starts back. That's all well and good. It's his other races that just don't do a lot for me. So if I was going to take him in here, I would want a pretty big price.
2 Emmys won the Mr. D, formerly known as the Arlington Million. Unfortunately, it looks like it'll be the last ever running of that prestigious race. He stole that race on the lead under James Graham. It was a brilliant ride to hold off domestic spending, one of the best turf horses in the country. He then was very game in the Sycamore when they stretched him out to 1.5 miles. And last time out, turning him back in his first start of the year, it looked like he had him over a barrel at the 16th pole. He just got a little bit tired late. This is a very consistent horse, Mike. And again, I think he's going to be aggressive from the stalls. And I think this extra distance helps him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the extra distance does help him. We'll see what kind of trip he can pull from the outside. And, if they have to actually use him to get forward, I guess it could work against him at the end of this race. I don't know, Dan. He could obviously win. I kind of wanted other horses in here.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Fairground Stakes on the turf. The Stranger, Adamo for Chad Brown. How many times have we seen Chad get a good European horse? They paid a good amount of money for him, and he classes up.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Dan. I really struggled with this race. I decided to just take the new face and hope that he doesn't go favorite in here. I could certainly see him running well, obviously. I didn't really know what to do in this race. I spent a lot of time trying to put Major Fed on top. I tried to talk myself into that horse for a long time. And I just couldn't quite get there. But I just sort of wanted, the sort of wild cards in here, the Shipper, the horse switching surfaces, the newly turned 4-year-old horses like that.
Largent is where I'm going. He did run so well in the beginning of 2021, end of 2020. Willing to give him a mulligan for that last race off of the layoff. Todd does well shipping into the Fairground. 6143 for Mike, 10362 for me in the Grade 3 Fairgrounds on Risen Star Saturday. Good luck.